every one of you guys out here. I am Christ. I am Disciple. You're watching my channel. If you like what you've seen, you can like, share, subscribe. You can also donate via PayPal. The link is in the description. And this stream is brought to you by LIVE Products. LIVE. Live now. We're live now. And as you can see in front of you, we have a line of products here. We have fruit punch, orange, sorrow, grapefruit, and Morbi. What is missing here is lime. That is the available flavors. I may even have lemon as well. And that is the LIVE natural fruit drinks. It's just sweetened with a minimum amount of sugar, 1.5 tablespoons, aka 22 to 23 grams of sugar. In addition, we have the LIVE line of cleaning products. As you can see here, we have disinfectant, fabric softener, we have liquid detergent, and we have dishwashing liquid. LIVE, live now. We're live now, and that's my sponsor. Now let's move on to, and if you're in the Trinidad and Tobago area, you can always order this from me through the number 319-4788. That's 319-4788. You can WhatsApp or call me to get your order. Now, with respect to the Most High, all praise be to the Most High God. The Most High God comes first in everything that we do and say. The Most High God comes first, and so I have to give all praise and glory to Him. And now we get into what we're going to talk about today, which is we're going to talk about a lot of things, but I'm going to start off with this gentleman here. So this is a picture of a great Trinidad and Tobago warrior, native Trinidadian warrior. The name of this warrior that is found in the beginning of the borough of Arima, his name is High Arima. That's his real name, High Arima. And we're going to talk a little bit about him before we go into anything else. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about Restore the Snyderverse in terms of the DC fandom, but we're really going to talk about the genocide and ethnic cleansing of a people and how much colonialism has done that. It's quite a lot. And this remarkable gentleman that you're seeing here, this tribute, this statue to him here, High Arima, it's got quite a story to it. So I'm going to get into that. I am part Native American myself. My lineage goes back to Venezuela. And so we will talk a little bit about this chief here, the chief of the Araucan tribe. Which is we call these different tribes Caribs, but really they're the Araucan tribes. The Caribs were, Caribbean. You had the Caribs and the Arawaks, but we'll go into that a little bit more right now. So let me talk to you a bit about this chief, which the bust of him is the statue of him is just remarkably well done. So we're going to go into that right now. Okay, so Amerindian footprints, High Arima. High Arima, like I said before, he is he built up a resistance against oppression by the oppressors. At the time it was the Spanish. So we're going to go into that in some detail. This is the history some of my country in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad was actually originally known as the country of Irie. It's actually known as Irie. That's the Amerindian name. We say Amerindian, we mean native peoples, but whatever. Okay. Let's go into it real quick. I'm going to read it for you guys. You can read it yourselves as well. Like footprints in the sand, though faded or washed away, we acknowledge and remember the presence of the first peoples who roamed and cultivated this rich land of Trinidad and Tobago, the very soil of which was nourished by their ancestral DNA. Now, first of all, La Trinidad is really the Spanish name that was given to the country. Again, the colonial empires sort of renamed what the country was. And I would be really happy if this country can go back to its original name, which is Irie, which is a tribal name, a Native American tribal name for what the country really, its real name is. But we will continue onwards here. The very soil of which is nourished by their ancestral DNA. That is, they died and decayed in the soil. These indigenous people, or first peoples who settled in the Caribbean, formed themselves into tribes based on their locations. They lived a simple yet hard-working life and traded among tribes and even islands as they canoed up and down the Caribbean Sea. Their presence has been so prominent in Trinidad that even places were named by them, and still to this day, those names remain, such as Aruca, Arima, and so on. However, the life these first settlers knew was plunged into anarchy. The Europeans arrived and took hold of these islands and their resources through the renaming of and theft from these lands, and enslaved and forcibly converted local tribes to Christianity. The Amerindians were under siege, suffered from overwork and abuse, yet through primitive, that though primitive, which is they're not primitive, it's just more simplistic. Heroes arose among them in the honor of their ancestors, gods, and people. One such man, whose gold-colored statue welcomes you upon entering the borough of Arima, is that of High Arima, or High Arima. He was such a powerful figure who called the shots along the east-west corridor. He was a great chief, and you're going to get a bit of his story here. Chief High Arima led the people of the Araucan tribe who lived within the region of Aruca, North Trinidad. He was enslaved along with his tribe by the Europeans and escaped their captivity around 1625. It was believed he fled to the hills of Arima, where he set up his base. Now, the place wasn't called Arima. It's named after him. All right, High Arima was this great chief, just like, you talk about, the great chief, Cherokee chief, I forgot what his name is. But in America, well, this was a great chief in Trinidad, and I'll explain to you why. Fueled with rage for these newcomers, he began recruiting and influencing other Amerindians not only to escape, but to form an alliance that sought the oppressor's downfall. He became a nuisance to the colonizers and harassed them constantly by launching attacks on their settlements. He worked alongside the Dutch and successfully executed an attack on the then capital of San Jose, also known now as St. Joseph, which made villagers flee the area in 1637. Every year, rituals were performed at his statue by the descendants of the first peoples in remembrance of his and others' legacy to honor the elementals. Their footprints, which once were and forever will be, still mark the sands of time. Now, imagine, this guy did all of this stuff in the 1600s, okay? It is now 400 years after that fact, and we're still talking about him. High Arima. Now, he's kind of lost into the history, and, there are descendants of the Amerindians still living in my country, but a lot of them have been diluted into the Spanish. But he was able to successfully push the Spanish out of the capital of the country. He was able to push them back. His resistance was so prominent that he dominated the east-west corridor of my country. Tremendous resistance, tremendous guerrilla warfare, tremendous battalions, and he coupled with the French to oust the Spanish. So it's just a really tremendous story for you guys to look into and actually to tell. And he wasn't my ancestor. My ancestors came from Venezuela. Well, I guess he may have been related to one of my tribes. But it's just amazing to tell these stories because colonialism and colonial oppression and stealing people's land has been going on for centuries, for millennia. Okay. So it's important for people to understand. Okay. I started with him. Seeing his statue is still there after so many hundreds of years, and also the fact that even though the statue no longer looks golden, I guess it can be shined up and stuff and become golden again. I guess the gold, accumulated wear and tear, it just needs to be cleaned. Even so, there's a testimony of this whole borough of Arima is named after this man. That's how great he was. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about what we want to talk about. But before I can go into that, I just wanted to say a couple things. Throughout history, for as long as we know history, I don't know why people have a history of oppressing other people, but we've seen it all the way back, with the Israelites in Egypt. We've seen it that people tend to, I don't know why, people would be living in harmony with one another. And then for some reason, some generation would come up and they would just oppress another set of people. And I don't know why this happens. I don't know if it's because of population growth. I don't know if it's because they feel like they're losing power or something. I don't know what it is, losing resources. But one set of people would suddenly just start to oppress another set of people. And this has happened over and over and over and over and over in history. And it's one thing to win a war, take over a territory, but allow people to practice their religion, practice their culture, and continue their civilization, maybe just paying a tax tribute to you, right? Because you conquered them. That's one thing. It's another thing when you're oppressing the people and you're forcing them to have your religion, or they're forcing them to leave the area and never return, or you're killing them out, or you're torturing them. There's something wrong with that, and I think, especially in this modern age, a lot of people push back against that, and a lot of people are offended by that. And I think it's fair, especially now. And then looking at all, even the genocide that happened in America with the Native American peoples again. And this happened much later. The Spanish came in 14 whatever, and 200 years of oppression the Native American people suffered under them, forcing them. But you can see these European powers constantly forcing people to want to have to conform to what they dictate. Now, there was Islam that went through Africa and the Middle East, and then they also forced people to be under their banner. But I just think that all in all, it's horrible that people think that you have to be what I am or else you cannot exist. It's just crazy. And it happens all the time. History keeps on repeating itself over and over. And this recent episode with what's happening in Sudan, what's happening in Somalia, what's happening in Armenia, what's happening in Palestine, Lebanon, it's just an extension of that. People always feeling, no, you either conform to what we do or you don't get to exist. And the threat to it is you're threatening us. Wow, you're threatening us by being different from us. It's just really crazy, So I just wanted to start off with that and let you guys know, since the 1600s, this has been going on. And we're talking about Western society with respect to Western society. Supposedly, the society has good norms and values, right? Okay, so one of the things that brave people like United States, with the gall and audacity to try to threaten the International Criminal Court, one of the things that a lot of you don't understand, because you're somewhat ignorant of what's going on. I'm going to explain to you why the United States doesn't even have a leg to stand on. Okay, their major argument to the ICC's ruling is that Israel is not under the jurisdiction of the ICC, right? Israel's not under the jurisdiction of the ICC. And America and Israel were not signatories to the ICC's formation to enforce. They're not signatories to the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. The Rome Statute came into being in the 17th of July, 1998, as you can see in front of you. And I want you guys to see this because I want you guys to understand what it is that's going on right now. And by the way, shout out to those who smash the like button. Those of you who are watching, shout out to you as well. But I want to show you guys something. So the Rome Statute outlines how international relations with different people should be conducted, okay? And therefore, international crimes that could be committed. Now, there are a list of countries who are signatories to this. We've got Australia, who's a signatory to it, for example. We also have European countries like Belgium. Brazil's a signatory, and they say the exact date when they became signatories. They also say the exact date when they were accepted under that. And you have many countries, from African countries to Canada. Canada is a signatory of this. You have also Croatia, the Czech Republic. I'm talking about European countries right now. There's several other countries, but Egypt is a signatory to this. France is a signatory to this. Georgia, Germany is a signatory to this. Haiti's even in there. Ireland is a signatory to this, and they were a signatory. Israel, crazily, is a signatory to this. Look at right here. Isn't that crazy? Israel's a signatory. Now, I don't know if they pulled back out of it, but they're a signatory to it. However, in the case of Israel, they have not been approved. Now, I don't know if they withdrew, but on the 31st of December, Israel was a signatory to it. Japan is a signatory to it. Jordan is a signatory to it. These are important names. European names like Latvia, Lithuania. Okay. Morocco is a signatory. Mexico is a signatory to it. New Zealand is a signatory to it. Norway is a signatory to it. Panama, okay. The Republic of Moldova, that's a European country. Romania, the Russian Federation is a signatory to it. However, again, though a signatory in September 13th, they haven't been approved. So I don't know what happened in between that. They may have pulled out of it or whatever. Spain is a signatory to it. Sweden, Switzerland is a signatory to it. Trinidad and Tobago, my country, is a signatory to it as well. And amazingly, though not a signatory, they have been approved under the Rome Act on the 2nd of January 2015. In other words, they are part and parcel, though they weren't signatories to it, they couldn't sign. They are part and parcel of the Rome Act, under which the ICC works. In other words, if you're dealing with anything that has to do with Palestine, you're under the ICC's jurisdiction. Okay, I'm going to show you something else. United Kingdom and the North of Ireland, they are all signatories to this, and they signed on it on October the 4th of 2001. No, they signed on November 30th, 1998, but they came on board, they were underneath it October 4th, 2001. The United States of America signed it, but they never came under the ICC. So they signed the Rome Act in the 31st of December 2001. They signed off on it, but they never came under. So just like Israel signed off on it, but never came under, just like some other place I saw. Okay, so the state of Palestine is under the ICC. So once you're doing anything with Palestine, you have suddenly entered the jurisdiction of the ICC. That's the way how it goes. And this is why the United States of America, no matter what they say, no matter what threats they do, they have no legal grounds under which they can not stop the ICC from prosecuting Mr. Netanyahu and Mr. Gallant. Because if Mr. Netanyahu and Mr. Gallant had never set foot into Palestine or hadn't done anything to the Palestinians, then they could have said that they're not under jurisdiction of the ICC. For example, when they assassinated the head of Hamas in Tehran, that cannot be used as grounds, for example, unless Iran is part of this. Let's see if Iran is part of this. The Islamic Republic of Iran is not a member of the ICC. Neither is Russia. So Russia is not a member of the ICC, and neither is the Republic of Iran. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Yes, the Russian Federation is not a part and parcel of the ICC. Okay, they did not sign under that. However, Mr. Vladimir Putin was issued ICC warrants. It was issued to him. So if ICC could issue arrest warrants to Mr. Putin, who is not under the jurisdiction of the ICC, because why? Why were they able to do that? I will tell you why in a second. Because Ukraine, right? Ukraine not only is a signatory, but it's under the ICC as of 25th of October, 2021. So Ukraine is under the jurisdiction of the ICC on the 25th of October, 2021. Ukraine wasn't under the ICC before that, which is kind of crazy. It was a signatory, but it wasn't to the Rome Act. But they weren't under the ICC until just this year, last month, which is crazy. So what I'm trying to say is the ICC, they prosecuted Mr. Vladimir Putin without jurisdiction, issuing arrest warrants for him. And therefore, they can more than do that for Israel, because Israel is actually dealing with a nation that is under the jurisdiction of the ICC. more so than even the case with what is happening with Ukraine. So there's even greater grounds for the ICC to act, and should. With respect to Afghanistan, is Afghanistan under the jurisdiction of the ICC? Well, back in February of 2003, it was under the jurisdiction. Now, when the ICC was prosecuting, I believe, U.S. soldiers for war crimes, I'm not sure if Afghanistan at the time was under the jurisdiction of the ICC, but it doesn't have to. It wasn't a signatory, and I don't think it was under the jurisdiction at the time. Or maybe it was. Maybe it was, but this is under the jurisdiction of the ICC. Now, the last time Americans threatened the ICC, of course, now the ICC should be protected, and I hope that the ICC can be able to issue arrest warrants, subpoena whoever they need to subpoena, but they should not withdraw anything. What they are doing now is they enable Mr. Kareem Khan to carry out, to have these people up in The Hague. Okay? So whether members of Congress want to subpoena whatever to go arrest these people in The Hague, let them know and let it be known they have no legal grounds under which they can do this. So in terms of the law, they'll be committing yet another criminal act and impeding justice from the International Criminal Court. So if they want charges to build up upon them, let them go ahead, try to bully the International Criminal Court. But right now, the International Criminal Court has everything necessary to have arrest warrants for Vladimir Putin, as well as, even more so than anything, for Mr. Netanyahu. So I just wanted to show you guys the actual evidence that's here. It's, again, the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. It was established in the 17th July 1998. All the countries that are under this statute, you can't fuck with them. If you mess with them, you're now under the jurisdiction of the ICC. And this is what happened with Russia. I believe this also happened with the war criminal in Africa. So I'm just saying, this is what the International Criminal Court is for. And it's got teeth. And it doesn't matter if you threaten the judges and you threaten their lives. It's a system. So they're replaceable. You can... The judges coming behind them can do the same thing that they did before. And the other thing that they don't understand is this is a shot across the bow. So this is huge, what the United Nations did. And it doesn't really matter what the United States thinks about it. And it doesn't matter what Congress passes. They already have gone against their own law, the Leahy Law. And as I said before, you guys need to take action in the individual states against this Leahy, against the breach of the Leahy Law. And any contracted business that is selling arms to Israel, immediately their accounts and their assets should be frozen. Immediately, any shipments that are going to leave port to go to Israel should be suspended, as well as anywhere in the world where those ships are at present and they choose to dock, there should be refusal for them to dock. Or if they are allowed to dock, everything must be frozen. Everything must be suspended. The ships must not be allowed to leave port. And all of the officers on that ship should be brought in, interrogated, and either shipped back to their country or wherever they came from, the United States, or they should be arrested. It's one of the two. Okay. But this is the action that needs to be taken, and the people need to lead it, just like how the Turkish people led the protest and also inhibited the leaving of goods and services to Israel from Turkey, as well as the Native Americans who sabotaged the ships that were trying to take away arms to Israel on the American coast. You guys have to do that. And anywhere they're going to be docking, and you guys know that, you need to immediately put legal laws in place. You need to get injunctions. You need to get warrants to search the ships and shut shit down. That's what you guys need to be doing. And it can be done on the localized level with your individual counties or states where they have courts. It's time to hold the federal government accountable. And the only way you guys are going to be able to do that is through action, not just protest. You can't just be protesting and talking and begging and begging. We are not into the begging business. We got the law on our side. We implement the fullness of the law. and you need to implement it all the time. Okay, at every level, and with the law backing you, you can go ahead and do whatever it takes to stop uh, the shipment of arms, particularly the shipment of arms. Particularly, this can be also implemented in Europe, particularly in England and Germany, where they're still shipping arms to, I believe, Israel. And I think in France, they're still smuggling some across because they can't do it in the open. The people are so opposed to it. So it's very important that you guys do that. You have to take action now. And you have civil disobedience on your side as well as the law on your side. So you're good to go. So I wanted to share those two pieces of vital information before I get into uh, before I get into Twitter. But before I get into Twitter, this song I dedicate to the people of Palestine. I'm not gonna. I could play it, but I already put it up on Twitter. It's called "When This Day Is Done." You can check it out. Um, you know, this is in dedication to two sets of people: Muhammad of Gaza, also known, and also to Omar, which his surname is Omar, Abdullah Omar, who've been fighting day and night. And I don't want to bring their attention too much before, droids or whatever try to snipe them. But these two people have been doing a great job to help out the people of Gaza. And we're trying our best on our end to see this thing to the end, to see it over, and to see the people of Palestine free, and to see a free Palestine where Jews and Christians and Muslims and droids and Druids and whoever's there can live together in harmony. With democracy, we learned that different people of different divergent backgrounds, extreme divergent backgrounds, can live together in harmony and in a certain degree of peace and tolerance. And we need a world like that. I know biblically, they say kill the witch, kill this one, kill that one. But you know what? We can coexist as people with divergent opinions and views and still have a society where no one's trying to destroy anyone. And I think that's critical. We may try to persuade each other, but we shouldn't try to, and the dialogue is very important, to respect human life, to respect the life of also animals and plants and all of that. That respect is necessary. When that respect is gone, we fall back into barbarism. We fall back into non-civil behavior. And even what I'm telling you about civil disobedience, it's civil. You know what I mean? It's not just wild and barbaric. You know what I mean? Okay, so you can check out that song. I think I put it up on X. I don't think I put it up on Facebook yet. I may put it up on Facebook as well, because you guys know I'm very vocal about what's happening in Palestine, and I definitely support the Palestinians. I want to say also that when it comes to the Jews, this was something that's very important to me and near and dear to me. Hold on a second. Let me just. Okay, so I just wanted to show you guys the lyrics to the song, but I wanted to speak on something else. The ultra-Orthodox Jews in Israel, a lot of them are anti-Zionists, as you know, and they get beat up on all kinds of things on occasions. And most of them live in East Jerusalem. And the interesting thing about these guys is they led the charge several decades ago against what Israel was doing. And one of the things that I think is very important for people to understand is how important it is that Jews oppose Zionism and oppose what is happening, the occupation, etc. Because you can't say that what you're doing is anti-Semitic if the people who are doing this action are Semites, are Jews. And so the Jews have taken the forefront. They've taken the forefront from since October 8th. They took the forefront, and the Jews in America, whether they're Zionists or not, stood up against what was happening in Gaza in a united voice, and they shut down, transit places, and they went into the capital, etc. Code Pink, we're talking about. Um, Jews all over the world were in protest of this. And that's amazing. And, you can't really do much if the Jews are against this. They wanted to make this a Muslim versus Jew thing, an Arab versus Jew thing. It never happened. The Jews were completely in solidarity with the Muslims. They were completely in solidarity with the Christians. The Christians were in complete solidarity with the Muslims. Once they understood what was going on in Palestine, atheists were in complete support. And it just shows you that humanity felt and the world felt that this was inhumane. And this had been going on under our noses, and we're not aware of it until now. And it's just amazing how we went with these narrators, and the people who actually broke through and got our attention were Jewish people. That's why when anybody says, well, the Jews, you can't say the Jews. Okay, I got Jewish lineage too. I mean, I got some Jewish genealogy in me, but that doesn't mean that because of that means that each individual chooses what direction they want to go in. Some people are indoctrinated into Zionism, and then when they find out what Zionism really is and what really is going on, they come out of it. It's like me raised a certain way with a certain religion, and then I realize, oh my God, I've been lied to. I leave it, right? And this is what some of these Jewish people have done when they realize the atrocities that were committed against the Palestinians for decades, okay? So, and some of them, the real Jews, the ones that actually went into the Middle East back in the 1600s, in the 1500s, escaping political persecution due to the Great Inquisition. Some of them ended up in the Middle East. Some of them ended up in Portugal. These people, again, had great relationships, or shall I say good, amicable, tolerant relationships with the people where they assimilated into, whether it's Portugal with the Christian people, or whatever they were, or it was in the Middle East. Jews were doing well in the Middle East. They were part of a multicultural demographic, and it's just amazing how particularly these European Jews, and I say Ashkenazi Jews that went across there and started doing this stuff. But again, I can't just say blatantly, all Ashkenazi Jews are blah, 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 because there's a lot of descendants of Ashkenazi Jews in America, and they are just totally opposed to what's going on. So what I'm saying is that, it was a certain set of people, they're known as Zionists, and all Zionists seem to be in one cahoots in the sense that they all wanted this state to happen for different reasons, of course, but they all wanted this state to happen. They all want to try and usher in the Messiah a certain way by force. And they have been, just like all the colonial empires, whether it's the Spanish, the French, the Americans, where they have conquered and then they just oppress the people who they conquer, which is kind of, it's one thing if you conquer. Okay, you have greater military might, so you conquered. Okay, you won the battle, you won the war, fine. But you don't let the people who are there exist. No, you kick them out their land, you kill off the ones who are resisting you, and then you supplant it with other people from other parts of the world. You just say, come here and fill up this land. And it's just crazy, man. We got Argentinians, we got Polish people, we got people from Ukraine and other places, Japan, all these other places coming to Israel and settling in there. And they're not from Israel. They're just not from Israel. It's so fucked up. They're not from Palestine. And then the Palestinian Jews that are there, they don't get money from the state. They don't ask for funding or anything, and they don't get drafted. And again, it's just ridiculous that, these people are oppressed so much. They're the original draft, and they get oppressed easily, like all the time. And if you speak out anything against Israel in Israel, well, you motherfucker, you're looking for getting beat up and shot, killed, tortured, imprisoned. That's what's been going on there, and that's not a free speech state. It is just not. Okay, so I just want to say that. But yeah, the Jews have led the frontier when it comes to this stuff. Okay, let me get into this here. Hussam Shabbat says, and yes, his name is Shabbat. Yes, that's right. Hussam Shabbat. That's right. Shabbat, as in Sabbath. Yeah. Which is another thing. You know, you have the descendants of Ishmael that are there, who are Semites in Palestine. And you also have descendants of Isaac, or Jewish people who assimilated into the Islamic traditions in Palestine, but they actually have Jewish ancestry, and some of them have been living in Palestine forever. Okay, they've been there. They have a continuous genealogy all the way. They never left Palestine. Okay, and these people, believe it or not, they're demonized. You know, they call them Palestinian Jews, which is crazy. Anyways, yeah. So Hosam Shabbat says, thanks to everyone who continues to support us, who stands with Gaza, who engages with us, who's still protesting. Please don't stop talking about Gaza. He's, of course, a press person. Of course, as he starts to speak out, become more vocal, they'll be hunting him down to try and kill him, because that's just how sickening these people are. I'm not going to go into much more about anybody else in there, because I'm just afraid they would kill him. All right. Italy says it will arrest Netanyahu if he enters Italian territory. I believe it. Italy is, of course, obviously, Italy is a major signatory of the Rome Statute, because Rome is found in Italy. Rocket science? No. Dr. Jill Stein is advocating for arresting Netanyahu if he sets foot on the U.S. soil. That's not going to happen just like that. You have to put pressure on the U.S. government. You have to put pressure on the federal government. You have to start suing them. You have to start doing a lot of other things. I got to bypass this because I need to protect people's identities. Suleiman Ahmed says, breaking. Senator Lindsey Graham, I talked about this already. Okay? So let's go to the real fans of DC. The real fans of DC, like the real Jews in Israel and around the world, they actually give the genuine sentiment. The sentiment that the world has for Gaza, for example, and for what's happening in Palestine, period, is the predominant thing. And then you have these gatekeepers, right? And we've presented evidence after evidence after evidence that the world is behind Palestine. It supports Palestine. It's just what it is now. Well, similarly, the real DC fans who support DC, they are people who have said to Warner Brothers for the longest while, we want the Steinerverse restored. We want it restored. And Warner Brothers and DC have seen a decline in any kind of anything, any kind of buzz for the DC brand in terms of movies, because these fans are not there. They're not supporting that stuff. And they will continue not to support it. No matter what James Gunn says or does, they don't care. They wanted to just get the slate washed. They need to get rid of James Gunn. WB needs to get rid of James Gunn as soon as possible, because he's not helping the situation. He's just not. Okay? They need to put somebody there that the DC fans are excited about. And the DC fans are not excited about James Gunn or anything he has to bring to the table. And will not be. So if I were Warner Brothers right now, I'd get somebody that the DC fans would just go nuts about. Okay? Not the fake ones. The fake ones who are just like, these Zionists who keep on crying anti-Semitic talk, and trying to censor people. No, the real fans, the real DC fans, they want this stuff. They want to see the Snyderverse restored. Okay? And so I guess Warner Bros. Is going to continue to mess around and find out. But in the meantime, this is what I've got for you guys. I have been Christ I Am Disciple. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You can like, share, subscribe. You can also donate via PayPal. Don't forget to smash the like button if you want to donate via PayPal. The link is in the description. This stream was brought to you by Live Now. We're live now. I'm going to catch you guys later. Peace.